So if you are out there shopping for a classic car, inherently most classic cars are pretty dangerous compared to a modern vehicle on the road, but I have one here that is particularly dangerous that may not seem like it. This is none other than the second generation Nissan Sentra. This is actually the first year being a 1987 model, and I've brought along Nathan to give me his opinion on it because he is a fan of cheap cars like me. But what do you think of this Sentra?
If you're suicidal, this is a great car to drive in traffic in Colorado, especially Denver. 1-star crash rating, 1, which they did improve later on, obviously, but yeah, not exactly what I would call a safety conscious vehicle. But I want to point out something. Knowing Tommy and his taste in cars and how dangerous most of them are, think about it, he has a Fiat 500, he has a Duchado.
Yeah, which basically has paper for doors, right?
I think it actually kills you on purpose before you hit. And then, you know, he's got a Volkswagen Beetle. None of those cars are safe, so this would actually be right up his alley.
Until now, basic transportation was boring. Welcome, the 1987 Nissan Sentras. The all-new Sentras are longer, and they're wider for a big car ride. There are 5 new Sentras to choose from, including Nissan's sleek new Sentra Sport Coupe. The name is Nissan, America's #1 selling import car.
Think about it this way. Crash test ratings today, if something got a 1 star, everybody would run away and be like, do not buy that car because you will die if you get into an accident. This was a 1 star by 1987 standards, so it's even far worse than it would get today. Like, if you got a 1 star today, that would have been probably a 5 star in 87.
I think the federal government would come to your door and light the car on fire.
Yeah.
So a couple of things about this vehicle. Now, first of all, we have it running because the battery's a little bit weak, so sorry about the sound in the background. But these were built when I was in high school. So I actually dated a girl who had a car almost identical to this. I think the configuration was a little bit different. But what was cool is back in those days, in the 80s, when you were crawling, basically, you were just learning to walk, if I'm correct. And Tommy wasn't even a twinkle in his father's eye.
No.
We hope not. But this vehicle competed with all of these other really cool front-wheel drive coupes, and that was the time that they really started getting hot in the United States. And it wasn't just the Japanese automakers either. There were a few American automakers that were also beginning to build some coupes that were front-wheel drive. Some were interesting and some weren't. I mean, like the Ford Tempo is a really good example, something that as a coupe just didn't really do it for me. But these were slow, but they got really good mileage, and at the time parents were like, oh, this is perfect for my high school or early college kid.
Well, let's take a look at that engine. Speaking of slow, so these engines were, I mean, this is an economy car, right? It came in a lot of different variations. You could get it in a sedan, you could get it in a hatchback like this, or you could get it in the coupe like you mentioned. And they just weren't meant to be a performance machine back in the day. And I mean, is this carbureted? Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it's carbureted to me. And this is a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder pumping out a whopping 70 horsepower. And so I think is interesting is that 1 star crash rating that it got at 35 miles an hour. And I think it'd take you a while to get to 35 miles an hour in this car.
Yeah, but keep in mind that even though it only puts out 70 horsepower, this thing weighs as much as a Miata, so they were relatively light on their toes, and it's surprising that a vehicle like this is still out there and around. This is kind of a diamond in the rough. Now, Brendan was talking about, yeah, this is a great car to buy for $1,000 and beat the crap out of it. And that's exactly what you were saying earlier.
Yes, it was. I would do that. If I could get this for $1,000 or less and then just have fun with it and not care because it's clearly not been well cared for.
I don't know.
I think it'd be fun.
See, now I disagree. I think that this would be a nice candidate for, you know, especially a kid who's just trying to restore a car and learning about that type of thing. This has all the nuts and bolts in the right place. The engine actually is running okay.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody replaced a few components, but not a lot.
It looks like it's got some new plug wires going
relatively new.
Yeah.
But a vehicle like this is something that, because it's so rare, it makes it kind of cool. And the bodywork on this car is intense. You should see some of the stuff they did to this car.
Yeah, it's not great. But maybe we should take a look at the interior, because that's where it goes from mundane to, I think, actually pretty cool. So hopping into the Nissan Sentra, you will see that these seats, I think, are fantastic. They're actually pretty darn well bolstered, and they look properly 80s, small economy car in here, which, I mean, nowadays people would pay a good penny to have seats that look this cool. And then you have just a very simple squared off interior design with basic gauges in front, and then you do have a little bit of a pod here that has basically one button and then your hazard button in there. And then I do like these sliders. They give you a really, this one's a little rough, but normally, yeah, you get a nice tactile feel when you switch them back and forth, feeling very mechanical. And then this even has the original radio with these giant knobs on it. And of course, it wouldn't be an 80s car without an ashtray, as well as this one has the optional 5-speed manual transmission, because these came standard with a 4-speed manual or a 3-speed automatic, so this is really the one you want. All right, so taking out and driving this thing, I've driven some slow cars and I've driven some 80s cars for sure, but I've actually never driven this second generation Sentra, and I'm curious what you think of it, Nathan.
These were great. These are great when you were going to the beach with your friends. You could actually put 4 people in here and stuff relatively comfortably. It's not a Canyon Carver, but they were really light on their toes, and they got really good mileage. It wasn't unheard of for these things to do over 30 miles per gallon, and gas back then was stupid cheap.
Well, and that's why we picked both of us to come in here today to simulate 4 people in this car, right? I'm sure that's what many of you will want to say down there in the comments section.
Oh, go wide ahead. We know how you people truly feel about us.
But I've got a little test track here, and I want to give this little 70 horsepower car a squirt just to kind of see. Well, wow, that's even slower than I thought, Nathan.
But, she's running pretty good.
Yeah, it is running pretty good. We did get up to about 35 miles an hour there. It doesn't really like to be wrung out into the higher RPM ranges, I would say.
It's not a Honda.
Yeah, once you get into that 4,000 RPM range, the engine just kind of dies off, and it's almost like encouraging you to upshift, almost like it's an economy car.
Gee, surprise there. Now, with the 5-speed, actually, because there was a 4-speed version of this, which was the cheaper one, the 5-speed did allow you to get better mileage. The gear spacing was different and also supposed to be sportier. These seats, I believe, are indicative of the sportier model. I think that there was like flatter versions of this. Yeah. And I really did enjoy the styling from the 80s, because it was kind of what they anticipated the future was going to look like, which was very angular, which I just think is cool. Remember, there was the Subaru XT, remember that?
Yeah,
it had pop-up headlights. It had a very similar setup in terms of the cockpit. And you had a lot of other vehicles coming in from Mitsubishi, from Isuzu even at that time. And they all had some interesting coupes out there that, frankly, we just don't have anything quite as cool. But then again, we do have cars that are more powerful, safer, and get better mileage. Hey, see if the rear wiper works. I'm curious.
It does not.
Okay. So, what would you say? I would say pay $1,000 for something like this, and if you get it, then you could have a cool little car to play with.
Yeah. In fact, this is going up for auction in a couple of days, and I very well might.
Really?
And, yeah, if this goes cheap enough, which, considering its condition, it just might, maybe I'll be a bidder on it. I don't know.
I'm willing to make you a wager that this vehicle is actually going to go for more than that, because there's nostalgia freaks out there like me who are like, oh, it runs! It actually runs!
Yeah.
And they're going to spend stupid money on it, and this thing will suddenly go for $3,000 or something.
So actually, Nathan, this Sentra sold for $900 across the auction block, and even though it's maybe part of the greatest generation of Nissans ever, it still didn't bring a lot of money because of the condition. So as you can see, I think this is actually a pretty darn interesting little car that you just don't see very many of them on the road still today. You saw a ton of them back in the 80s, as I'm sure you would know, as you were alive and driving back then, whereas I was barely walking. I just want to know what you think, Nathan, in today's day and age. In 2023, is this a car that you would feel comfortable driving out on the road, knowing how bad those crash ratings were?
Dude, I was driving a Suzuki Samurai for a while. This is nothing compared to that. This handles better, probably has better brakes, and it has more usable power on the road. So yeah, I'd be fine with it. The real question to me, though, is that whether or not this is something worth buying and then worth restoring. And I say yes, because they're so rare, but at the same time, there are plenty of parts you can get. Actually, I think the hardest part is some of these body parts would be a little bit difficult to replace, but the body's actually pretty straight in terms of the steel, and it's running pretty good. I don't know, I just don't hate it. I can't bring myself to hate it. So if you guys have hate out there, go ahead and let us know. Yeah, okay, it sucks with crash testing, but so what?
Yeah, I mean, so do most classic cars that you can buy, really. I mean, if you were to crash anything from the 80s these days, it's going to not be a fun crash for you, that's for sure. But yeah, I am curious to know what you guys think in the comment section below. I mean, does a slow, boring economy car, you know, is this a classic?
It's got a 5-speed.
You know, or is this just a car that should belong in the junkyard and we should forget about to the ages of time? But either way, thank you so much for watching. Take care.